Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to complete a series of tasks for segment routing on OcNOS devices. Here is the task. It says that add another explicit path to the previous example. And in case you have not seen the previous video, I have completed an explicit segment list and I have just attached it to this specific VRF just to make sure that the traffic goes from router 3 to router 1, then to 5, then to 6, and then I examined the path from the source to destination and I made sure that this is working. And of course, if you capture the traffic, you can just see the labels that are on top of the packet, and you can just make sure that this is going to go through the nodes specified in your explicit segment list. And the rest of the task says that the path should go from router 4 to 2 to 6, which means that I'm going to add this path from bottom to router 2 and then to router 6 on here. So I'm going to have these two explicit segment lists. And finally, what I'm going to make sure is the traffic from R9 to R10 should be load shared with this explicit path and the one created in previous one. Okay, so what I mean to do is I'm just going to make sure that these two paths are going to be used simultaneously. So let me just show you the previous configuration, and then we are going to add on top of that to make sure that we can use this. And one thing that you should know is ECMP, or equal cost multipathing, in segment routing is by default enabled. So you don't have to do anything about the default configuration. What you need to do is to just add the explicit segment list and then put it there, and then we are going to make sure that the preference that we are going to apply to this new segment list is exactly the same as the preference for the previous one, which means that there is no competition. So if I just go to router 3 here, what I'm going to say is show run segment routing, and here is the configuration. The dynamic policy, we just removed it from this VRF and I'm not going to use it. I'm not using it. We had a previous segment list that was called SL156. We are going to create one right now. And this segment list was used under policy explicit 156. And for that, there was just one candidate path. I applied the preference of 100. 100, of course, is the default preference. You can apply any number, but I just want to make sure that the next one is going to have the same preference as this one, so that there is going to be load balancing applied to here. So configuration is pretty straightforward and very simple. What I need to do is to go to configuration mode. I need to go to segment routing, then traffic engineer, and then I'm going to create a new segment list. The new segment list is going to be called 4 to 2 to 6. So I'm going to hit enter. I need to create this with different indexes. Like I said in previous video, I'm going to go with increments of 10 so that whenever I need to edit and add an entry, I will be able to do this. I can insert some entries between these entries. So I'm going to say segment type 1 is 16,400. That is the SID applied to router 4. So I'm going to just make sure that this is going to go to router 4. From there to router 2, which has SID of 16,200, and the entry number is going to be number 20. And finally, it's going to get to router 6, which is in the third step. Okay, I have just created this. Now what I need to do is to say exit SR segment list, and I am under traffic engineering. Now I'm going to go under this policy explicit 156, and you can see that I could just change the name and apply a better name for that, because now I am adding another segment list for that, and it doesn't really reflect the correct naming, reflect the correct purpose of this policy. But let's just go with this. I'm not going to do anything specific about that. So I'm going to say policy is this, and I'm going to have a second candidate path, which is going to be candidate path number 2. Then I'm going to assign a preference of the same value with the previous one. Then I'm going to say, okay, the explicit segment list which I am adding right now is gonna be this one, SL426. So I'm going to hit enter, and that's almost everything that we need to do here. Okay, I'm going to commit in the configuration, and now I'm going to show you the whole necessary configuration that we need to have. First of all, if I just go to here and save the configuration, that would be much better, of course. First of all, show run segment routing now says that the second policy that we have created here, this one, whatever the name is, has two candidate paths. The first one is this one. The second one is this one. Both of them have the same preference, which means that we are going to use both of them at the same time. The second part is show run VRF ABC, which is applying this this policy. The policy has a color number of 2. And if I just go to here, you can see that there is a tunnel select policy that selects this tunnel. And if I just say show run tunnel policy, you can see that the tunnel is here and it is using color number 2. With this, I am applying that specific policy to this tunnel, and this tunnel is applied to the VRF, and the VRF's traffic is going to use both of these links to the destination. Okay, now that I have done this, I'm going to test my configuration right now. So for that, first of all, I can go with some verification commands. For example, show segment routing policy, and I can have different policies here. You can see that, let me just say terminal width of 256, and then use this command. Okay, so you can see that there are two policies. Both of them are up and running, which is very important. The second one is the one that we have applied, and you can see that the forwarding info is like this, that goes through Ethernet 3. But of course, this is now changing a little bit. Now I'm going to say show segment routing policy detail, and now we are going to see some more details for this. And the most important part is, you can see that these weird characters, in case you see that, well, all you need to do is to just close the session and then open the session one more time. That's all you need to do. And I'm going to just put it right in here and execute the command one more time. And now you can see that everything is working just fine. Okay, so the candidate path number 1 is selecting router 1, then 5, then 6 based on the segment list 156. And this one, which is candidate path 2, and you can see that this is active right now. It is using 4, 2, and 6. And this is active, and this is the reason that you see that in previous command, if I just say show segment routing policy, we see that it says Ethernet 3 is the selected one, because Ethernet 3 is the link that goes to router 4. Going back to here, there are some more information that you would like to see. The path type, of course, is explicit. The preference is 100, and the candidate path is valid, which is important information here that you need to check. And finally, there are some more commands that you want to see here, the result of them, of course. For example, show MPLS VRF table is the next one. So MPLS, of course, not MPS, MPLS VRF table. And you can see that in here, we are using this tunnel policy, which is called explicit TE, whatever the number is after that. The status installed, the color number is 2, exactly the same color that we really want to have it in here. So with this, we can just make sure that our configuration is correct and working. Okay, let's verify the connectivity. I'm going to go to router 9, and I'm going to try to ping 10, 10, 10, 10, and I'm going to source it from 9999, So the ping is going through, and I'm going to just capture the traffic. So if I just go to Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 3. So this is the first one. This is the second one. So I'm going to check the traffic. Right now you can see that from this one, we have the traffic that goes to router 4 and from there to 2 and then to 6. This one, if I have another flow, then I will see that the traffic is going to go through that as well. And with that, load balancing is going to be working just fine. Okay, so with this, everything is okay. And hopefully this has been informative for you. And see you in next videos.